Welcome to the Enlightened Energy Podcast, a safe space for conversations surrounding love, energy, perspective shifts, and so much more, with your host, Elena. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Enlightened Energy Podcast. My name's Elena, and this is the first episode here. I wanted to start today off by just sharing with you guys, kind of why I wanted to start this podcast. And more importantly, I feel like this is allowing me to be super vulnerable with my life and everything that I've learned. And I think I just kind of want to share that with everybody, that taking that first step of being vulnerable is super important and can make a huge difference in maybe one person's life. But we're here and we're doing it. So why not kind of vibe of today, right? So I started my spiritual, if you want to call it that, journey, I'd say a year and a half ago, after I started watching a YouTuber who originally started posting about workout videos and day in the life vlogs type of videos. And then she posted a favorite books of 2020 video, and one of the books she recommended for anybody getting into this spiritual stuff was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I found that the first time I read this book, actually, I hated it. It was awful. And that first time I read it in that time, I just was not ready to accept these things that he was talking about. My ego really just took over and said, nope, we're not fucking learning about this. We're going to stick to our old ways and we're going to keep building these really negative, bad habits. And then 6 months later, I said, why not pick up this book again? And so I picked it up and I read it and changed my life, right? I was ready to hear it. The universe said, this is now the time that you can hear this. Strong, firm believer in, everything happens for a reason and everything has divine timing. And that's kind of what I want to start talking about in this first episode, is that everything happens for a reason at a certain time, for you, through you. And there's no such thing as bad or good timing or bad or good events, right? And this all stems from the manifestations that we create ourselves. And so that's something really interesting. But we can dive into that in another episode. Today, I kind of just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about me. And I'm sure that the first few listeners on this podcast will be friends and family, trying to support. But if there's somebody out there that doesn't know a lot about me, I'd say most of my life, I've had this super entrepreneurial mindset, right? I was 10, 11 years old, and me and my neighbors would walk our neighbors' dogs for $5. We would sell homemade applesauce door to door, right? We did all these things. And then at 11, I started working for my family at our donut shop. And then 13, I got a job down at another donut shop. Mind you, don't like donuts, but... And now I'm a manager at our donut shop in town. And then we just opened up ice cream for that in the same location. And then also a business owner of an escape room up and coming. So I've always had this passion, this want, this need, right, for external validation in businesses, in money, in working long hours, in all those things that give me this sort of internal validation, that we all look for in lots of different things. For some people, it's relationships, validation from their parents, from their friends, work, like me. And I've always been into watching videos, listening to podcasts, and ever since I was little, I've been making little videos and little voice recordings and notes on my phone, right? And I always said, well, I'll never post these. I'll never share these. Because like many others, I'm so sure, we have this fear of vulnerability, right? And that's kind of what I want to break into in this very short first episode here, is that fear is so powerful. Brene Brown talks a lot about the power of vulnerability, right? And that is oftentimes the start of some really fucking amazing things. Perfect example, right? A dear friend of mine, her name's Gazina. We're going to do an interview with her on this podcast here soon. She started a YouTube channel super recently. I think it was 2 days ago now. And she has some awesome things to share. And she has a lot more wisdom and a lot more, she likes to say, we know a lot, we know nothing. And I love that. I love when she says that. And so when I saw her post her YouTube video, she felt scared to post it at first because she, like many others, has this fear of, oh my gosh, what are people going to say? Are people going to hate it? Who cares? Why does it matter? So let's just get rid of that, throw that out the window. If there's something that, not to sound cliche, that you want to do it, but you're scared of what people will think, just go do it. It's not going to hurt anybody unless it's not going to hurt anybody. Go do it. Go live your passion. It might seem out of the books, right? It might seem crazy, but you manifest what you want. And if you are in the frequency of, I am doing this, I'm good at this, I have people listening, I have people loving, then it's going to work and it's going to be awesome and it's going to be great. So that's something really important that I was struggling with, is that for years and years and years and end, I said, I want to start a podcast. I want to start a YouTube. I want to do all this stuff. And I had such a fear of what people were going to think. And long story short, nobody cares. So that's why I'm going to post this. That's why I went to Walmart, bought my $40 mic here. And we're using this and we're making this. So I mentioned a little earlier, before I got sidetracked, I feel like, about the Power of Now book, and how the second time I read it, it really resonated with me, the information that Eckhart Tolle was talking about. And I think that that's kind of what I want to dive into for this first episode. I wrote notes in my notebook and I laid out on Google Docs what I would say word for word. And we closed out of that a while ago. And I'm just kind of speak from what I have in my brain and kind of what I want to blurb out here for this first episode here. But basically what Eckhart Tolle was talking about is that oftentimes, well, most of us, right, unless we are conscious or awakened, however you want to phrase that, we are living so much of our life in the past or in the future. And the past creates depression. You say, I wish I could have done this. Why didn't this go differently? I wish I had done this. All of these things, right? And in the future, we're living in anxiety. Well, what if this happens? Well, what if they don't like this? Well, what if I say something wrong? And the power of now, the power of the present moment, of living in the present and being so totally conscious, creates this inner soul peace, right? It creates this enlightened energy, if you want to say that. And that's really what shifted my perspective on life. Not to sound like it was this insane moment that happened in the snap of a finger. Is like, we are continuously working on learning and unlearning and finding our true identity or whatnot, right? But being able to stay present has created this inner peace, because I know that the universe has timed out, has planned everything for me. And the more I'm in a frequency of positive manifestation, the more I'm going to see what my inner being, what my true soul really wants, right? And anytime I'm not aligned with that, I feel sad, I feel depressed, I feel anxious. Anytime I'm not in the present moment, I feel sad, I feel depressed, I feel anxious. And now it's become evidently clear what I don't like, what I don't want. I have cut people out of my life, or not cut them out like you're done, but just kind of like slowly let them fall out of my frequency and my vibes, because their vibes just don't align with mine. You know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. That's not a good thing. We can never label things as good nor bad, because all is just happening and it is just now. And that's something that's also really helped me. A few examples, because when I hear podcasts and people are like, well, when you manifest this way, you'll get this. And I'm like, well, I need an example. I'm an example type person, right? That comes from my masculine energy. I'm all logistics sometimes. I'm a student athlete, and my first year of college lacrosse was pretty good. But the first 2 weeks, I came back from Christmas break, where everything was awesome, and I fell into a really depressive state. I was stuck in the past. I was stuck in the future. I could not get present. And I was in a really, really bad funk. And every day at practice, I would say, God, I'm no good at this. This fucking sucks. I hate my team. I hate my coach. I hate what I'm doing. I can't shoot. I can't score. I can't pass. I can't catch. And then on the field, even though I'm a student athlete, I'm in college, I'm playing lacrosse, I am good enough, right? those inner thoughts manifested into a reality of me not being able to catch, me not being able to shoot past all of that, right? And in turn, I was seen that way. I was seen as this player that I manifested for myself, and I wasn't played all year, right? Of course, there's those girls playing at 100% deserve that spot, and they manifested and they worked hard and they got that spot for themselves. But I had created this really, really negative space for myself and created a really bad lacrosse player for the first 2 weeks. And then I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I flipped a switch. I got positive, and my playing increased ginormously. I was catching, shooting, passing, scoring, all of that, right? And that's when one of those moments where it clicked and I was like, wow, like, mindset is everything. Mindset changes everything. Perspective changes everything. And then that's when I kind of dived back into listening to podcasts about spiritual work. And I started listening to these guys. It's called Perspective Shift. I really love their work. Mike and Frank do a great job in their podcast talking about really complex things in a super simplistic way. And they often talk about the mindset work and like how you can work on changing mindset to create reality. And that was super interesting to listen to and whatnot. And they have a bunch of guests on their shows that I've also really loved. They have a great network of people. And I found that just at the right time, right when I needed it, and that really, again, not to be cliche, changed my life, you know what I mean? But that was the life path that I was on. And I truly do believe in, everything happens for a reason at the right time when it needs to. But overall, I just want to be able to share what's going on in my life in the sense of my spiritual journey and being able to tell, even if it's just two people, if I had the opportunity to share something new with them, that they were like, oh, wow, that's really crazy. Let me go to my Amazon cart and add The Power of Now to my cart. And then they pick it up and they read it, they hate it, they pick it up and they love it and it changes their life. That's just crazy, right? The power that we have to share the information with people that are in our frequencies and our vibes, that's just amazing. And in terms of episode topics, I have a few ideas, and I'm sure more will sprout and they'll get added to the notes in my phone. But right now, I want to dive into The Power of Now of Eckhart Tolle, dive into what Esther Hicks talks about and her channeling Abraham. And soon, I think I'm recording it tomorrow, so who knows when I'll get done editing it. I'm new to all of this, new to what platform I want to use and all of that stuff. But I'm going to be having a conversation with Gazina. I mentioned her earlier in the video, but man, she has a crazy positive energy, and I'm so excited to hear her thoughts on some topics that I'm going to write out here. But honestly, overall, I'm just really excited that I'm able to do this, and that today when I texted Gazina about her coming on the podcast and just having a conversation with her, I had sent out the text because she had texted me at 7:30 a.m. and I didn't wake up until 10-ish or whatever, and I saw the text and I put my phone down and came back to it and replied, and I had texted her right at 11:11, and I was like, well, that's the universe's sign that we need to sit down and do this. Let's meet up tomorrow, 9:00. Let's do it. And I think that was just the final universe's way of saying, girl, you need to just do it, and you need to just share whatever you want to share and sit down and have a conversation with people who are willing to listen. And I'm just so excited to be here and have this opportunity to share kind of what I want to with you guys. And so I'm stealing this from my favorite YouTuber, Live Fit. Go check her out. It's Liv, Livfiit on Instagram, YouTube, podcast, all of that. But she does little affirmations at the end of her podcasts. And so I also wanted to do that. And I also wanted to add a journaling prompt. So today's affirmation is, I use my vulnerability as a power, not a fear. And the journaling prompt that I have for you guys is to write down 3 or 4 things that you have a fear about doing or saying or admitting. And then next to each one, write how much that this would empower you in your life if you did it. And that's it for today, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next episode.